Close my eyes, take the leap, and make a wave. Taking the chance, won't turn away. Changing the world, starting today. I am the change I want to see. I am the change, it starts with me. From this day on, I'll always be part of the change. It starts with me. I am the change. I am the change. It starts with me. See what I can become. It's within me. I am more than enough. I know it's true. Taking the chance, won't turn away. Changing the world, starting today. I am the change I want to see. I am the change, it starts with me. From this day on, I'll always be part of the change. It starts with me. I am the change. I am the change. It starts with me. I am the change I want to see. I am the change, it starts with me. From this day on, I'll always be part of the change. It starts with me. I am the change. 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 It starts with me.
Good morning and welcome to the Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living. We are now officially on Eastern Daylight Time right here in Paoli. I'm Maxine, Kaye, spiritual leader of this beloved community. You know, spring is not far away. Our weather is changing. The snow is melting. It's pretty exciting around here. And we may not even have any more snow until next Saturday when it gets officially to be spring. So here we offer a welcoming, sacred space of home, no matter what the weather may be. And we're here to support one another spiritually, to inspire each other intellectually, and to provide spiritual tools for all kinds of human challenges. We're here to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence as we focus on co-creating a world that works for all. And our purpose statement is still the same, and I invite you to say it with me if you choose to. Living, loving, learning, spirituality that works. Now we'll have a wonderful opening song that was written by Michael Gott and sung last year or so by our music team, All That I Need.
Here we go. All that I need comes to me. All that I love and grace. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me. Woo!
Wow, ooh, indeed. Thank you, music team. Oh, won't it be wonderful to have them back here on the stage and you right out there in those beautiful blue seats? Yeah, it will be when the time is right. How about we enter into a short meditation together now? Will you breathe with me? Each inhalation, we receive divine circulation. Feel it moving, that beautiful breath of life. Feel it moving through our bodies, our thoughts, and our feelings. And with each exhalation, feel the release of human tension. And step into the flow of the river of life. Feel its sweet warmth. Experience its gentle movement. Let it move you forward, away from that which has been, and into new adventures. It is safe to flow with life. Do not attempt to hold fast to anything. No ego attachments. Just a complete surrender to the will of the divine, which is always for greater life and fuller expression. Come into the sacred silence for a moment, feeling yourself loved, embraced, and supported by wisdom and love. And now in the continuing sense of being gently and powerfully in the flow of divine life, let yourself be transformed by the renewing of your mind and the embrace of the divine. All is well. All manner of things are well. Now I would like to invite one of our practitioners, Mary Furtaw, to open us up with a spiritual mind treatment.
Good morning. Let us know together that there is one power in the universe, and this power is a force for good. And this power emerges from the one source. The source is God, and God is infinite goodness. And each of us is an extension of this energy, forever inseparable from it. Inherent in every living form is the need to grow. It is in meeting this need that we advance. Within the need to grow, there is a corresponding need. It is the need of the willingness to change. This we must provide. There is no growth without change. Now, sometimes change may seem daunting, but when we remember that God is goodness and it is God that initiates change, then change must be good. God is also infinite and with us within every change we ever have to make. It is in the understanding of the nature of change and the purpose it has in growth that we can accept change and grow gracefully. This is the truth. I am grateful that it is. I release the treatment to the law, knowing that it's so. And so it is.
And will you join me now in speaking our affirmation for the day? I live gracefully and joyfully through all life's movement, delighted in new horizons and sweet possibilities. I'd like to say good morning to our kids. Some of them are really growing up into teens. We're so grateful for you and we miss you so very much. So let's connect here. Hi. I trust you're having a good morning. If you're still in your pajamas, that's okay. If I were at home, I might be too. Well, you have seen this several times, but it just seemed like the right day to share this with you again. I know probably most of you, if not all of you, remember a book when you were quite small called The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Remember that? Where the caterpillar was just walking around, crawling around, however caterpillars get about. And he was eating. Oh, he just started eating and eating and eating, like it seemed like twice his weight. He couldn't get enough to eat. He just kept going, finding things to eat everywhere. Until the time came that he was so full, he needed to rest. And caterpillars have a very clever way of attaching themselves, even upside down. So perhaps this caterpillar attached himself, or herself, I really don't know, to a tree branch and just stayed there for quite a while. Looked the same on the outside, except it began to spin a cocoon. But inside, there were major changes taking place. The imaginal cells within this caterpillar had a whole new idea for what used to be a caterpillar and was beginning to form something quite different, amazing, and wonderful. One day, the imaginal cells had done their transformational work to the degree that that cocoon began to move about, to break apart, and something emerged from it that was no longer caterpillar. You know what it is, don't you? You're right. Exactly. What was emerging was no longer caterpillar. It was now butterfly, or as one of my grandsons said when he was little, a flutterby. Here came the butterfly, but it wasn't ready to fly yet. Why? Well, it had been in this cocoon for such a long time, and its wings weren't dry yet. So there's this intelligence within every animal, every insect, within you, within me, and it tells our bodies what's necessary, and it's an amazing intelligence. Actually, it's the presence of God, which is infinite intelligence and divine love within us. And that intelligence seemed to make sure that the caterpillar, now a butterfly, stayed long enough on the tree branch in the sunlight for the wings to dry out. And then it began to fly. I remember seeing a cartoon many, many years ago with caterpillars crawling around on the floor, on the ground. And overhead, there were a couple of butterflies. And the caterpillars looked up and they saw this one butterfly. And one said to the other one, if they had elbows, I think they would have nudged each other. One said to the other one, "You'll never get me up in one of those things." Not understanding that that was its nature. It's like you and I are human beings, and isn't that wonderful to be a human being? And yet we're so much more than that. And every being you know is so much more than that. And we go through changes. And we go through these beautiful, amazing transformations. You're a beautiful butterfly. And that's only the beginning. We love change. We must agree with it. There have been a lot of changes this last year, haven't there? And there'll be more in the next year. And we have learned that there's an infinite intelligence within us all and a divine love supporting us as we move through the changes. You and I are even more than butterflies. Good to chat with you this morning. Have a beautiful day. Now I'm going to chat with your parents. Well, the Centers for Spiritual Living theme for 2021 is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. The theme for the month of March is Open to Possibilities. Isn't that wonderful? We're expanding our mindset. We're open to possibilities. And today, not only because it is a new time, daylight savings time for most of the states here in our country, but because it is definitely in our country and in our world, in our human consciousness, time for change. So that's today's topic. And we read in Ecclesiastes, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." And farther in that chapter we read, "That which hath been is now, that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past." All that's important. Things change, and God requires the past. So, how can we make progress if we're clinging to the past? How can we drive forward if we're spending all our time looking in the rearview mirror? That would be dangerous. It's appropriate to take a glimpse every now and then, to have a sense of from whence we have come, to see what might be behind us, but more importantly, what is ahead of us. We need to let go of the resistance of remaining in the status quo, which means we need to deepen our faith, doesn't it? We're wired for forward movement. Why in the world do we resist it? Change is both natural and inevitable. So let's align ourselves with the natural movement forward. The letting go of the past. God requires the past. It's inevitable, so why don't we agree with it? You see, humankind is adaptable. Look what we've done over this last year. Look how we have found ways to continue to connect with each other. Our other clergy friends are doing the same thing we are doing. Some are beginning to meet a little bit in person, following guidelines. We're talking about many different faith traditions. And some are continuing to stream online as we're doing until the time is right for us to be together and to stream online. Don't you see how this has opened up all kinds of new possibilities for us to reach people all over the world? And we are. And so we're not going to stop doing that, even when we're back here together. But won't that be sweet? Let's keep our vision clear about doing the hybrid, as we're calling it, so that we are both together in person and we are reaching out to the larger community. So we're moving all through life's changes, and we can choose to move through these changes with grace and with ease. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You know, we're hearing a very important message right now in 2 words. change everything. Change everything. It's a clarion cry for reevaluating and reforming. The institutions are all changing. They're supposed to. We're beginning with our own life experience and our own attitudes. And then we expand into our communities with a greater vision. And then we expand into the world with a greater awareness and a greater vision. But we do begin with ourselves. How else? Where else? Who else? It's time for change. Everything is changing. Let's enter into newness with grace as much as we can. This is Women's History Month. We've been celebrating women of history, many of whom, many of us, had never heard of before, because the history wasn't complete. We're in the midst of awakening to greater possibilities. We have more women in leadership now probably than ever, unless you go back many, many centuries to when we had matriarchal societies that were fairly peaceful, I understand. Things are changing. But even though we have women in leadership, we still have so much work to do. We have racial and gender identity inequity, and we're in the midst of changing this. We have political and religious division. Where is the understanding? We have slow, steady progress, and it's just never in a straight line. You know, the rocket to the moon is always tacking this way and that. I made a sailboat out of it, but that's okay. And yet, it gets to its destination this way, that way. That's what we've been doing as a human race. We're doing the best we can because we're dealing with a whole lot of ignorance on an unconscious level. And we are learning to deal with it consciously, and we're learning to deal with it compassionately. Slow, steady progress, never in a straight line. I was a minority race in my early childhood. And then, when I was almost 10, we moved to a basically white community. It was very different. I didn't realize at that time the underlying white privilege that had been in human subconscious mind for so many decades. And this past year has provided too many opportunities to look at systemic racism. And our unconscious white privilege, our white fragility, is something we've begun to address, those of us who are the white folks. Didn't know it was there. Awareness is curative, says Emma Curtis Hopkins. We're becoming aware. This is the situation that is ready for cure. You know, Reverend Mike and I have taken a very deep dive this year into our own ignorance. And some of you in our community worked together with 2 other Science of Mind communities here in the East to understand, to open our hearts more, to look at our own shortcomings, our own false beliefs, our own restrictions that we didn't even know were there. We can't be free until we recognize what has been constricting us. Not our fault. It's just there in the human unconscious ignorance, false beliefs, things that we have been taught simply by the societal norms, things that we may have once taken for granted. And now we are doing our best to do our work. It is our job to do the work, to uncover what needs to be uncovered. Isn't that what we teach in Science of Mind? Is to go within, to do our work, to change our consciousness and change our experience. And then as we become role models, other people go, oh, it doesn't have to be that way. I don't have to be restricted by what I used to believe. I'm open and willing for divine guidance to show me a greater truth. We wish to be allies, and we're doing our work to become allies in the emergence of justice and unity and mutual respect. You know, moving from I don't see color to I see you. Can you imagine going into a beautiful flower garden and saying, "Oh, isn't that lovely? I don't see color." Let's celebrate all the beautiful colors. I remember many years ago walking into a religious science church. I mean, many, many, many years ago. And there was a lovely black woman who was a practitioner. And I was so drawn to her. Her consciousness was beautiful. And after the service, the minister said to me, "Now look at that. You don't see." He says, "There's no color there, is there?" "Oh, yes, there is. And oh, it's beautiful." We don't want to deny the beauty of our differences. We want to appreciate, understand, and dive more deeply. You know, women in the early years of New Thought were leaders. And, you know, people, usually men, occasionally over these years, my 44 going on 45 years in ministry, have asked, wasn't that hard for you, being a woman in ministry? And no, you know, not in the science of mind philosophy, not in the religious science tradition. There have always been women. And I can even remember one time, a couple of times, in fact, a man would ask, "Well, what do we call you? Do we call you ministress?" No, you just call me by my name. And I have already told you, but I have to tell you again because it fits right in with this, about the time that a woman was in my first year class in my first church in Alamo, California. And her daughter was 10 and was in our fun day school. And Courtney was watching an old movie on TV, and her mother was in the kitchen, and it was African Queen, Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn. And Courtney hollered to her mother, Mommy, what does he mean?" And she came in and said, "What?" She said, she talked about her brother, the Reverend. And her mother said, "Yes, her brother is a minister." And Courtney's eyes got real big, and she said, "Men can be ministers too?" I was the only minister she'd ever known. So no, it wasn't a problem for me, but oh my goodness, yes, it's been a problem for a lot of women in clergy. And we don't yet have a female pope in the Vatican. Don't know if that's ever going to happen, but it's not my business. It's okay. My brother Bert, my beloved brother Bert, who passed in 2020, he was a longtime journalist with the LA Times. And when I first was licensed and then ordained in the 70s in Northern California, he began calling me Father Sister, which I loved. But after a while, he scolded me for serving the white country club people in the community where my first church was, instead of the inner city populace. And at the time, I listened, but I didn't quite understand, because I thought everybody has the same opportunity to awaken to their spirituality. There's no difference. Well, I had at that time an extremely successful black attorney on my board of trustees. And he served as our treasurer. And he was such a boon to our congregation. And he and his beautiful wife and his adorable little boy were a very important part of our community. And one day he asked me if I would be willing, since I did lots of workshops and seminars for our own community, if I would be willing to create an all-day workshop on prosperity for a lot of people he knew in Oakland, in an area that was not as affluent as where we were in Contra Costa County. I said, "Of course I will." So he brought like 24 people, and we spent an entire Saturday lifting consciousness, healing restrictive beliefs, bringing a greater sense of joyous prosperity to people who had not embraced that yet. It was then I began to understand what my brother Bert was asking me to do. I officiated at my first unofficial same-sex wedding of 2 beautiful women in 1991. Oh no, it's not legal yet. That did not stop me. And it was wonderful because after the wedding, Maria Shriver had a TV show, and this particular one she called the Gay 90s. And she featured 3 couples, 3 beautiful couples who loved each other. Gay men, lesbian women, including the 2 beautiful women in my congregation that I had officiated at this wedding, which was absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And there was a little clip that was shown just before as a teaser for Marie Shriver's show a few days before, and it showed me and the 2 gorgeous women at the end of the ceremony when I turned to them and said, "You may kiss your bride." I got calls from religious science ministers from all over the country saying, "Thank you, Maxine." I got one call from a former high school friend who said, "Maxine, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm celebrating love." This has been a slow process of realizing that love is love and needs to be celebrated. Of course, I married them again in 2008 when it was legal, and many others as well. What a joyous opportunity that was to celebrate love. We're gradually beginning to understand that love is love. Over my life, I have been a member of both major political parties. I have never, ever, since these last few years, seen the incredible divisiveness, the vitriol. Thank God for people like better angels, braver angels, who are looking to bridge the gap, who are looking to open their hearts to understand other people's points of view. It's time for change, you see. The violence that has taken place in so many areas, beyond anything we even want to know about, and yet there it is. Even now, Asians are being targeted for violence with some weird idea that that COVID has come from China and it's their fault. I'm sorry, but I cannot grok people's thinking. We need to move beyond weird thinking and superstition. We need to move beyond the fear. Don't you see? Somehow, all of the anger, all of the terrible actions taking place, whether it's a knee on a neck, whether it is fury that's unleashed in sacred places, behind it all is fear. Fear of the other, fear of the unknown, fear of letting go of the way it used to be and entering into a new place of possibility, of true justice, of real understanding. We must move beyond where we've been, first by recognizing where it is we have been. Let's trust the underlying wisdom and compassion to lift us to a higher realm of understanding. Participating in this time for change. You see, dinosaurs were huge and scary. I don't see them anymore, do you? Huge and scary cannot remain. We need to deepen our faith in this enormous transformation. It is the best time in the life of this world because we are in the midst of an enormous, complete transformation of consciousness. Individual consciousness ultimately leading to a universal consciousness of all humankind. You see, we only experience pain in change when we resist it or deny its necessity. You see, we're flowing with the river of life. We'll only get scratched if we try to hang on to those thin branches along the side of the riverbed. Let the river of possibility move us forward. Let it take us gently and powerfully into a new land. You know what I learned in river rafting years ago was that no matter if you get thrown out of the boat, you do not let go of your paddle. You got to keep your paddle. And the other thing is you stay on your back with your tennis shoes upward so that if you happen to hit rocks, your feet will get it instead of your head. So we learn how to move through these waters, taking the proper precautions, and yet holding on to the oar, holding on to the paddle of faith. We cannot let that go. The paddle of possibility. You know I love alliteration. So we're learning to flow with the river of life. And we're welcoming and embracing major and minor changes. And that brings health and it brings happiness. Not only to each one of us, but potentially to all that we encounter. In John, we read, "And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all unto me." Do you see what we get to do? We get to allow ourselves to be lifted up. And with Emma, we can look down at the problem and really get into it. Oh, this is terrible. How are we ever going to get out of it? What is with those people? Doing the other, right? Looking down. Let's look down. And let's begin looking up, leaving the problem there on the ground. And it feels a little lighter when we're looking straight ahead at the horizon. And then we continue to look up. Look up, look up. Align ourselves with that divine possibility, that creative intention that we are all moving toward unity, mutual respect, and justice, and goodness, and joy and freedom. I'm open to transformation. I think probably if I had a middle name, which I don't anymore, it would be Change. Change is my middle name. I have become friends with it. I know it is essential. Being a living example of thy will, not necessarily mine, we move into this great cheerful expectancy of a greater good. Do you remember the wonderful French philosopher Albert Camus? You remember how outspoken he was even as a non-religious man during World War II? He spoke out against what Hitler was doing to the Jews and the homosexuals and the gypsies and others. He spoke out against it, and he said to the church at that time, "I'm not even a religious man. How can you not stand up for these people?" And I love what he wrote. It was a letter, I don't know to whom. "My dear, in the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized that through it all, that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." And that makes me happy. For it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there is something stronger, something better, pushing right back. Truly yours, Albert Camus. There is within us an invincible spring. It is the presence of the divine that can never leave us, nor can we ever be outside of the life of God, because it is that which is our truth. It is our nature. It is our being. Let's stand tall in our truth. Let's remember who we are, and let's remember who everybody else is. Let's get beyond the otherness. Let's open up our hearts in the middle of the hatred and refuse to hate back. We're an example. We are models of the new possibility. You're ready for change. I'm ready for change. It goes far beyond daylight saving times. It goes far beyond the seasonal change just next Saturday. It will be spring, but the springtime consciousness is that which is the reality within each and every one of us. We'll be the change, as we've been told for a long time. Be the change, said Gandhi, that you wish to see in the world. And it begins by going so deeply into our own hearts and minds, healing what needs to be healed, transforming all of those old patterns that were just not true, leaving behind the hypocrisy, most of all leaving behind the fear. Because what is the opposite of fear? Yes, it's faith, but it's also love. And love is a substantive quality of spirit. And you and I are expressions of that loving, living spirit. Will you say with me, I move with life's grace and joy through all life's changes. I delight in new horizons. I embrace infinite possibilities. I am open for sweet transformation. And beloveds, so beginneth our lesson. It's the time of our offertory. This is always a joyous time because it roots us in our source. When I give back to the source of my prosperity, it keeps me connected. It keeps my consciousness open to the possibilities of infinite abundance that are here for all of us. So let's figuratively perhaps take our gift in our hands, perhaps to our hearts. And there are opportunities there on the screen for you to show you the different possibilities for you to contribute and keep this thriving center alive and thriving. Let's say our prosperity affirmation together. I choose to celebrate prosperity. Divine love blesses my gift. It is my acceptance of God as the source of my abundant supply. With joy and gratitude, I share my abundance with this center. In doing so, I am one with the law of circulation. My tithe goes forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless. It returns to me multiplied abundantly, and I am prospered, and so it is.
Holding fast to that heartache, scared that the good times they won't last. Darling, there's just one thing to be sure of, that nothing ever comes to stay. You know it always comes to pass, so let it go, let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. It's your choice, you know, to set your mind at ease. You can stay stuck in the mud or be floating on a breeze. It makes your heart so heavy, carrying all that stuff within. I know, 'cause everything I ever let go of, you know I left my claw marks in. I wrapped it up so tightly and I put it on a shelf, but to keep it under lock and key just made a prisoner of myself. So I gotta let it go, let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. Now the horizon never worries when it sees the sun sink down, and the willow never truly weeps, dropping seedlings to the ground. The snow has to melt to let the fertile soil abound. Its life is a circle, and it's all gonna come around. So you gotta let it go and let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. Yes, change is the very nature of creation.
Good morning. My name is Payson Burt, Vice President of your Board of Trustees, and I'm here with today's announcements. First of all, I just want to say how grateful I am for the last couple of days of sunshine and warmth after so much snow. My back is still hurting. And we, the royal we, the board, are very happy you joined us today. Wherever you are in the world today, we always have such interesting and inspiring Sunday talks, which in case you have missed any, you can always visit our website and view them anytime along with Reverend Mike's and Dr. Maxine's daily love notes at www.cslphilly.org. To view any of our archived videos, just click on the orange Watch Live button. Now for our upcoming classes. If you want to discover how consciousness creates experience, Reverend Mike is teaching Thomas Troward's Edinburgh Lectures online beginning Saturday, March 27th from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's for all the people all over the world want to take the class. The class will run for 8 to 10 weeks, depending on the depth of discussion. The Edinburgh Lectures on mental science had a profound effect on the growth of the science of mind teaching as it articulated the laws by which consciousness creates. While this is an accredited class, Reverend Mike is teaching it on a love offering basis. Everyone is welcome to attend this class and contribute whatever amount they feel good about. But for those who are desiring credit for the course, the total contributions they make are requested to total $245 or more. Reverend Mike is making use of his free The Troward Reader, the Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. The only thing else you will need is a pencil or pen and a mind that is open for spiritual growth. To register, just go to our calendar of events and click on March 27th's class link. More questions. Are you ready to experience more balance, deeper serenity, and greater spiritual awareness? Would you like to explore your inner space? Are you willing to remain peaceful in challenging situations, like reading these announcements? Would you like to feel clearer, be more conscious, and experience deeper spiritual exploration? If so, Dr. Maxine is offering a 6-week virtual meditation and serendipity class. I like that word, serendipity. Beginning Tuesday, April 6th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Since this is a love offering class, you are invited to contribute whatever you consider is of value to you. I don't know, does that mean like the barter system, Dr. Maxine? The only actual cost is a one-time fee of $10 for the downloadable materials we will be using. Now, Frank Henninger is offering 2 3-hour Saturday workshops, and here he is for more details.
Thank you and good morning. I am Frank Henninger, and I'd like to announce 2 workshops that I will be teaching soon for GPCSL using the Zoom platform. Both of these are being offered for your consideration to promote your spiritual health and expand your awareness of the good things you experience every day. The first workshop is entitled Writing Haiku, a Japanese mindfulness practice, being offered on Saturday, April 10th from 1 to 4 p.m. I developed this workshop after a creativity assignment required for one of the graduate courses I had during my time in the Holmes Institute Masters in Consciousness Studies program. Once I started writing haiku poems 2 years ago, I've written over 160 in the classical 3-line 5-7-5 syllabic format. In this workshop, I will teach that classical format as well as other less structured modern formats with plenty of examples. Here is a sample haiku that I wrote during a morning walk. Golden and copper, what treasure is this ahead? Red-tail hawk feather. You will finish this workshop having started writing haiku and on the path to what is called the haiku mind. The second workshop is entitled Spirit Notes, Journaling for Personal Growth, and this is being offered on Saturday, April 17th from 1 to 4 p.m. We will review dozens of styles of journal writing, barriers to writing, solutions to those barriers, and other journaling strategies. Many people are familiar with classic journaling techniques such as daily diary or a gratitude journal, but have you ever heard of the placemat technique or the 4 Watts? You will finish this workshop having learned many new journaling techniques and with a new appreciation of and motivation for personal journaling. These workshops require no prior experience. Both are offered on a love offering basis payable to GPCSL. Advanced registration is required to receive the Zoom link and the student materials in advance of the workshop dates. There are no required books for these workshops except for the student materials that I will send to you. I hope to see many of you in class on these dates. Thank you.
To register for any of these classes, just go to our calendar at cslphilly.org and click on the start date for the registration link. But if all else fails, contact Linda, good old Linda, at the office or at her office, or email her at admin@cslphilly.com. I'd also like to remind you of Reverend Mike's ongoing Science of Mind textbook study group on Zoom each Saturday from 9:45 to 11 a.m. You can jump in any time for the free love offering class. To register for Reverend Mike's study group, either call the office or email Linda at admin@cslphilly.com. And finally, do you have social media experience and an hour per week to help increase our online presence? We are looking for a few people who could lend a hand in any of these areas, either posting to local newspapers, posting to Facebook, Meetup, Instagram, and other platforms. For more details, contact Tina Richards at 267-773-9773 or by email tr_richards@yahoo.com. That's it for the announcements for today. Hopefully today is sunny and warm as well. And go out and enjoy yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Payson. Oh, what a delight. I love our announcements. Aren't they fun? Now we will have our closing song, once again with our music team from some time in the past. And this is a song that was written by Emily Zoll, and it's sung by the music team, Thankful Hearts.
Thankful Hearts.
Thankful Hearts. Thank you, Emily.
Please stand. With thankful hearts, we end this time. With thankful hearts, we say goodbye. We show our love and share our home with each other. We're not alone. With thankful hearts, we end this time. With thankful hearts, we say goodbye. We show our love and share our home with each other. We're not alone. Last time. With thankful hearts, we end this time. With thankful hearts, we say goodbye. We show our love and share our home with each other. We're not alone.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Let's continue meeting like this, shall we? So as we prepare to leave, let's know this together, that the one mind, the one source, the one heart of God, fully present in, through, and as each one of us is moving us along into higher ground. We move with grace and ease into new beginnings, new possibilities, new visions, and we are the ones that we've been waiting for. For this and much more, we are grateful, and so it is.